So is that possible that you use that place as a place of healing others?
Oh, yes.
Not just one person to journey there,
Mm-hmm.
but someone to go in with that person
Yes.
and do the work of the stone people?
Uh-huh. Well, it's not the hothouse. It's not built to the same specifications. So it's there for looking, and it's totally dark. It's to develop people's um, direct perception, so you begin to see the scintillating light, the light behind the light. And also, some people are afraid of the dark, and so they also see more clearly the projections of their minds, and thus can learn to tame them. And it is a place for teaching, where people may sit in the dark cabin, and someone may beat a water drum, and people begin to see vibration. So there is much learned and taught without words. Then the hothouse is different, it's longer, and is partially in the earth, so that when you're sitting, it's about shoulder length, shoulder height, and then there's wood above. And here we have a very high water table, so that we have not built one because of the water comes up. Uh-huh.
I think in years past you've given us as an exercise, what does it mean, this large crystal spot like a baby? And you seem to be talking more explicitly, so I wondered if you wanted to say more.
About?
What this meant. And I'm wondering, I'm hearing over these images you're talking about, but the old people, you're speaking, it seems, about this live crystal in the way you teach to see ourselves in the crystal heart of the earth, and then the earth, and the seed in our heart. And I'm just noticing that you're talking about it somewhat more openly.
Yeah, to recognize the crystal wisdom that is within. And as somebody told me, hey, you're pushing 70, I think I need to put a lot of information out there because I forget things. So yeah, I am saying more. And the wrapped crystal is also an analogy about how we are wrapped in the robe of our ideas, how we are wrapped in conditioned view, how we are wrapped in also the bosom of the earth, the loving arms of the earth and the sky. It is to recognize those layers of relationship. And sometimes I think it is what some people refer to as an arc. As an arc.
When you spoke of basically crimes against humanity as human family abuse, I keep having the sense that we have to know every level, from the electrons through the clan and the culture, but we still have to articulate something more clearly that, we're all here as one family.
Yes, articulating the words, speaking them, and creating a thought form that resonates with the remembrance of that in every heart is also important. So everyone, every culture has sacred words and has a code of right relationship and respects life and understands that there is a a unifying sacred principle, yet we still have war and sectarianism. So the bare bones of truth for the healing of our human family is the sound thought form that fits the receptors in the heart minds of all beings. So it's not so much concepts. Words can guide you there. Lately, I think it is a sound. A sound that occasionally I've seen the turn something off, and you may have heard that time in 1992 when we took many elders to basically change the song and have the churches make apology. This was a vision that came to myself and Tigre Perez when we were sundancing at Crow Dog's Paradise. And even before the European Union was born, that was the apron on Tigre's, that was the design on Tigre's apron, because he had visions of it. And we knew that it was very important that it would take a long time, that we would go with a group of elders, as many as we could find, and raise funds to travel to Europe and speak with the heads of different religious groups and different families there. And so we were giving a talk. It was outdoors, and Tigre said something that upset the young people, because there's a rising very neo-Nazi groups there. And he said something that got them riled up, and he became nervous. And they're coming closer, and Tigre went to the back of the stage and pushed me out front and said, "You do something." And so I'm looking around to see what kind of security is there, and there's not very much. And I just started singing the heart song, and immediately what was dissonance just resolved. The anger of the young folks, everything changed. So that was an example, an application of sound as transformation, because words had gotten people angry, and the only antidote was basically something simple, and that also relates to to receptors in our brain that hear vowels and ahs, sort of like mom. It's comforting, and it's also the potential of many things arising. So that continuously pops up, and there's this sense that there is a sound that reveals again our unity and our humanity. So this conversation, this portion of the conversation, comes from the question of how do we manifest healing of the human family when we consider that we're all basically relatives on the earth. You pale away, move through time, that we are cousins. And how do we stop the wars that are based on the belief of other? And that was Barry's question. And he's writing, and he gives talks about transformation of suffering. And so the question is very important, because people out there don't know what you said. So I'm talking now to those beyond the horizon. And so his question is how to restore the family of humanity to its remembrance of its healing, of its unity. Some say, based on fear models, that humanity seeing an enemy coming from outside would unify people. I think that unifying on a fear-based model is not the answer. Because already we have a common danger, polluted air, radiation, dying ocean. So that hasn't brought people together. So I think, okay, there must be a sound of restoration, a sound that returns people to their well-being. And so I listen for it, I hear it, and yes. And the sound is a prayer. And then you recognize, well, certain belief systems, when chanting Om Mani Padme Hum, people are planting the weapons of aggression at the roots of the tree of peace, or the weapons of ignorance, or the appearance of ignorance. And strong belief in the chant makes people well. There are people who are reciting the rosary with deep commitment, and they're creating a stabilizing field in their neighborhoods. People meditating, and this has been documented, actually bring down the crime wave, bring down the crime rates in particular areas. So are they saying anything? They're generating a field that has harmonic resolution as its potential. And also supporting people's inclination to have harmony. So the words, they are actually too small, and even the proofs that are revealed about harm to each other are refuted by ignorance. So there is the unequivocal thought, energy, recognition of love, that we are all connected, and that's and it does have a sound. I just don't know how to put it into words. Sometimes I can get it on the organ, especially a pipe organ. That's where I've been able to express it. And if any of you have those old homemade tapes of theme to Mithras on the pipe organ at St. Teresa's that I made in the 70s, well, you have good fortune, listen to them. Yeah. Who knows where the masters are? Huh?
Is it on a cassette?
Yes.
My grandmother has that.
Okay, good.
Yeah, she's been letting me listen to it, as a matter of fact.
Well, put it on an MP3.
I was thinking of doing that.
Yeah, because they wear out, those magnetic tapes over time. So that approximated the sounds of resolution. So in those days of playing music, playing the upper organ, in the main chapel of St. Teresa's in Brooklyn, many things happened. It was before the comet Levy hit Jupiter. It was really headed for Earth. And Jupiter decided to take the hit for the well-being, giving another chance for us to grow.
I'd just like to stop and save this recording and start another one because it's getting long and so precious.
And it's also time for a break. So the time of that comet, and playing that pipe organ for weeks. At first I began playing at a Moravian church in the middle of Manhattan. You know, there's some pretty extraordinary pipe organs hidden, and cloisters. There are actually monks there who meditate in the middle of Manhattan. At least they were 30 years ago. I don't know if the church is still there or not. And they had an incredible pipe organ. And I would go into these places and say, can I play the pipe organ? And usually organists they're very protective because they're very precious and extraordinary. And they are very old also. And many organists understand what happens when people play a pipe organ. So you could hear for weeks the tunes through the subway system, and it's quite extraordinary. So I've had the taste of the sounds of resolution, and you can get a taste on those old recordings of Theme to Mithras and Comet Shoemaker Levy was headed for Earth, and in the resonating prayers of appreciation, Jupiter decided to take a hit. And I was scared, you know, it really did. Because you see these incredible columns of light and these incredible energy fields, and it almost sounds like voices that are talking to you in whatever language you understand. And you're, it's pretty amazing. So I know that there is the power of sound to transform and transmute, and that it's reciprocal. When we make the effort to transform our own mind and view, when we make the effort to make it known that we understand the errors which now have arisen as dissonance moving into the field, and that we individually are willing to make the changes internally and in our view and action. And then it's beyond, when you make that commitment, then something else is there, and there's no I, them, or us. It's light sound. And you can't even say, those are my feet. There's no I there to say anything. It's like that. So the sound of transmutation, it arises within us, and our heartfelt prayers of appreciation in resonance with the pulse of the earth and sky contribute to the healing of the family of humanity. So, short break. $15.